I stopped typing my AI prompts more than a year ago. Since then, I've had more than 20,000 recordings, 500,000 words, and 99% of the prompts I send is through voice to text. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that my AI output got dramatically better. Not because the models improved, although they did, but because what I was giving the models changed at a very core level. After a year of speaking every single prompt, I want to show you the difference, why it matters, and how to start today. Let's get into it. Okay, so I want to talk about something called the prompt tax, or at least that's what I like to call it. So, we already know that context matters. So, research has backed this up and has said this numerous times that the more context we give AI, the better quality it outputs. Now, that's why I call it prompt tax, is because typing out all of that context, even though it's proven that it provides better results, takes effort. So, it still has a cost in some sense. So, even though we know that output is only as good as input, that's still something that we unconsciously consider. So, the thing is, before I got to this method, some days I was really paying for that tax. Like, if it's an energy day, well, I'm just full of energy. I just naturally provide the AI more context, right? I type in paragraph after paragraph into Claude, and it works great. But eventually, as the day goes on, then it starts getting draining. And the worst part is there are days where you're just naturally tired. Of course, if you're human, this just how it works. And you subconsciously cut corners. So instead of typing like a paragraph long prompt, for example, you just cut it into one or two sentences. And therefore, the output tends to suffer. And the thing is, this doesn't mean you're being lazy. It's just that effort wears you down eventually. And that friction might be costing you, just like how it cost me, better outputs. Especially if you look at it where if you prompt AI every day and then this goes on for months, then there's gonna be like a very good sample size where you could have provided more context, but you didn't because you were just tired or you weren't just feeling it at the time. So for me specifically, the problem was never knowing what to say. It was the cost of typing it all out. But then I found the fix and it's way simpler than you think. So let's look at it from a speed perspective first. So if we look at how fast we talk, it's typically around 130 words per minute. If you look at how fast we type, it's around 40 words per minute. Now, this might even be slower for someone like me because I kind of suck at typing. And the thing is, this isn't just about speed. It's also about friction. Like, I'm pretty sure that 99% of people out there, their main way of communication is through speaking, right? And when we type, at least this is the case for me, I tend to already filter things out because like my brain is working faster than my fingers. So if you're typing, you're already losing context even though you're like willing to type everything out. Instead of if you're speaking, then it's basically your brain is working the same pace as your mouth. Now, I think this typing out versus speaking out your prompts problem relates to like two groups of people I see that use AI. So the first one are those that treat AI like a calculator. What do I mean by that? So a calculator is basically something where you put in the right formula and then it spits out the correct answer. So it's very templated and formulaic. So you just put in the right input and then you expect the right output every time. Now, I notice a lot of people, especially in the early days, I was one of those people. I was actually focused too much on the structure of my prompts, where to the point where I even got like prompt templates out of Google or X, and then like you know those prompt templates, right? Where it's a prompt and there's like these slots where insert your role here, insert the task here, and so on. Now, the thing is, if you look at prompting that way, then you tend to actually restrict the context that you provide to the AI because you're more focused on actually filling in the template. Unlike another group, and I'm happy to say that I'm in this group now, which is those that treat AI as a coworker. So how would you talk to an actual human coworker? You explain the situation, right? You talk through what you've already tried, and you basically try and provide that person as much context as possible so that they can get the job done properly. So when you say what you actually need and why you need it and what the end goal should be, then the context flows freely, because for sure you have done this before. Like, you've done it in school, you've done it in work, you've even done it with asking a friend for a favor. So that's just something I noticed. There's one group that over-index on structure, therefore they under-index on context, and there's one group that explains the situation like how they would to a human, and if they use voice on top of that, then it makes providing context effortless. There was this one day a few weeks ago where I was just really in a lot of meetings and I was ingesting a lot of feedback from chats as well, right? This was all centered on one thing, which was conceptualization of a new feature on the health tech platform that I was working on. I had a lot of notes and I had a lot of snippets and screenshots. So what I did was I opened up my notes on a second monitor, and then I opened up Claude and I just basically brain dumped everything. So I was looking at my notes, then I would say, hey Claude, like, we need to conceptualize this feature. These are the base requirements. This is how I think it should go. This is what this stakeholder said about this. And I just yapped for like 5 minutes straight. And then what happened was Claude just basically took all of that context. It asked me a few clarifying questions, and then it provided me like a concept document, which was a very good starting point for what we wanted to build. And that even goes a layer back, you know, like, I'm sure you've had like moments where you've had a meeting and you just try to type all of it out, like everything you remember, and then you start losing it. Before I even did this big prompt for the context document, after every meeting, I would just hit record. I always have this dump Google Doc in my bookmarks, and I just fed everything that I remember from that meeting here. And then I eventually cleaned it up, and those cleaned up notes are the ones I use to actually base my big prompt to Claude, which I just talked about, and it went from there. So yeah, the thing is, Claude gave me a concept doc in minutes, and I didn't really plan what I was going to say. I just had like a whole bunch of notes that I captured, and then I just talked through it. Again, very similar to explaining something to a colleague. So if you look at this side by side, you'll immediately see the difference. And I'm sure you can relate to this, where if you type out a prompt, yes, you're gonna be providing as much context as you can, but again, you're restricted by the speed of your typing and not actually the things that you wanted to say. There's gonna be something like, help me plan a feature for my product management tool. I need ideas for a dashboard, make it useful. Instead of, when you speak, if you look here, it sounds way more natural. You say, so I just got off a call with stakeholders, and they're saying that the current dashboard doesn't give them what they need. They want to see project health at a glance without clicking into each project, and you go on and on and on. Not really rambling, but actually explaining. Again, like talking to AI like a coworker, not like some formula, you know, what was initially taught to us in the early days. The big unlock for me here when I started doing this a year ago was that I didn't really change how I prompted in the structural or technical sense. I just removed the wall actually between my brain and the prompt. And so this is great because you don't really need to buy or learn anything, and you just really have to speak out your prompts, and it's super easy. Let me show you how. So what I do is very simple. I press, I talk, and then it pastes. How do I do this? So first is I hit a button. So I map SuperWhisper, the software that I use. Now, you can use any software you want. I just went with SuperWhisper because that's what I've been going at the start. And if we open it up here, you can actually see that I've even built up a very good vocabulary already. So that words that are not usually in the English language, like logopedy, for example, then it would know how to like type it out when I speak it, right? So the default shortcut for SuperWhisper, and you can change this, is Option Space on the Mac. And what I did is I have like this Logitech mouse, the M720 Triathlon. I just basically mapped Option Space to this button over here. Not sure if you can see that. This one. right? So now, every time I prompt, I just press this, and you can see this on the screen. Yeah, so the SuperWhisper thingy, not sure what you call this, the modal popped up. You can even move this around. So now it's just transcribing everything that I say, right? And then once I press this button again, then it's just automatically gonna be pasting it. Oops. It's automatically gonna be pasting it on where my mouse cursor is. In this case, in this Word document. So if I press that again, SuperWhisper processes, and then there you go. And remember, if I had to type this out, it's gonna be way slower. And it's gonna feel less natural compared to just doing voice to text. I use SuperWhisper, but really any voice to text tool works. I'm not paid by SuperWhisper to say this, but maybe in the future, I hope, if I get like an affiliate deal with them, then they'll be down in the comments, and that's a good way to support the channel. But for now, as of the time of this recording, I don't have an affiliate deal. But SuperWhisper, come on, man. Give me the money. But of course, if we're gonna be realistic here, there are still some scenarios where you still have to type. Scenario one is like exact spelling, or if you're like actually giving Claude a URL, then you would at least have to copy that URL. Or if you're giving Claude like a name, it's better to type out that name unless it's a super common name that like Claude would understand. And of course, if you're out in the coffee shop or if you're working with other people, the fastest way for them to get pissed off at you is if you just keep on doing voice to text. My fiance hates this actually. Good thing I have this room as my office. But yeah, like she complains to our friends sometimes that I'm too fucking noisy. I talk to my AI the whole day. Or maybe she's just jealous because she actually wants me to talk to her more than I talk to Claude. But you know, yeah, that's a different topic. And yeah, also when you type, when every word matters. Now, for my experience, I'm working with a German healthcare product. So I sometimes, if there's like crucial German terminology or words there, then I just type them out because I think the current models aren't that used to like other languages. Maybe they are, but of course English would still be the best. They have the most training data off of that. And maybe because my German pronunciation is shit. That could also be the case. But either way, if you think like every word or the specific word is extremely important to provide AI the input that it needs, then just type it out. You know, you still have hands. But for everything else, you can just talk. And as we've already seen here, and I'm sure you'll experience this as well when you start doing this, is that you just provide more context, it's more natural, and it's even more fun when you do voice to text. And yeah, just talk like you're actually talking to a coworker instead of a calculator. So talk like how you normally talk. Because the biggest mistake you can make when doing voice to text is speaking like you type. So it shouldn't be short, choppy commands like design me a feature for onboarding. You should really let yourself ramble because the AI can actually pick out what's important and what you're saying and then go from there. So give as much context as you need. It's better to over provide context than under provide. And again, the best thing about this is you can do it completely for free. So this is a habit. It's not something that you have to purchase like a software or a course. The habit is the one that changes your results. For me, for the first 6 months, I was using SuperWhisper completely for free. And then I paid like, I think it's $8 a month for the subscription. So you get access to better models. And it's also my way of showing support to the developers because I mean, $8 a month for the mountain of benefit that I get from it is more than worth it for me. So the thing is, something also happened after more than a year of doing this. It just didn't improve my AI output, but it actually made me a better communicator and speaker. But that's a different video. Once it's out, I'll be linking it here. But before that, if you want to learn how to actually build AI assistants for non-coding tasks, this is where like most of my voice to text happens, then please make sure to watch this video. I'm not sure where the empty slot is, but yeah, those two videos will be linked somewhere over here. I'll see you next time.